today here at People State Forest. I'm Katie Dykes. I'm the Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. We're so excited to be announcing today some of the updated guidelines and operations for our state parks that are going to help us welcome more visitors and provide for expanded services and opportunities to get out and enjoy nature for citizens here in Connecticut and across the region in this upcoming summer. So really pleased to be here though in this really special location. People State Forest, if you haven't been here before, is just a really gorgeous and unique location. We have world-class fly fishing available here on the Farmington River, hiking, forests, mountains. It's just it's wonderful to highlight our outdoor recreation system here from Barkhamsted at People State Forest. And I want to start off our program here by introducing First Selectman Don Stein. You may know him as First Selectman of Barkhamsted. He's also of the local Friends group that has supporting People State Forest and is a real outdoor enthusiast. So Don, welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Katie. As she said, I'm Don Stein, First Selectman of Barkhamsted, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have Governor, Commissioner Dykes, Deputy Commissioner here. We love having people come to Barkhamsted. Wild and scenic Farmington is right 50 yards that way. We have another state forest across the river, which has a great campground. And we're very grateful to the state for supporting the town, the river, the hiking, the forests, the camping, etc. And we love to see people coming out here to enjoy it because that's what it's for. We're happy we can live here and we can see it every day as we go around town. But having the state and its folks enjoy it is really important to us. So I'm very pleased to have the governor here today, and I understand there might be some good initiatives that'll help recreation and the forest in the state. Thank you.
Well, thank you, First Selectman, and we're really glad to be here. You know, as we look forward to the upcoming park season, we know we're still working through this pandemic. You know, it's a time for us to reflect on everything that's happened over the last year. Outdoor recreation has played a crucial role in helping us get through this pandemic here in Connecticut. It's provided a connection to nature, which we know is so essential for our mental and our physical health. About this time last year, you know, we were just with the stay home, stay safe order, we were really improvising and trying to figure out what we could do to continue to provide outdoor recreation opportunities safely. I remember a phone call with Governor Lamont and that first weekend, and he said, we've got to give people access to the parks. They've got to have something that they can do. We know we can do this safely. And so while many other states closed their state park system at the beginning of the pandemic, we stayed open. And so, you know, Connecticut's park system, even though we put a lot of, you know, different guidelines and operational plans in place last year to help prevent the spread of coronavirus, and things looked a little different, we managed to welcome more visitors than ever before who took advantage of our state's incredible outdoor resources. Our small but dedicated park staff worked diligently in our parks and our state forests to meet the needs of more than 10 million visitors last year. And I'm just so proud of what our team has done throughout this pandemic to provide for this outdoor access. We implemented lower capacity levels at some parks, but we still served more visitors than usual. We opened fishing season early last year. We did it again this year, and fishing license sales increased 13%. Hunting license sales also increased 9%. The Connecticut Trail Census reports that reports from last summer show that a more than 50% increase in trail usage over 2019 numbers. New boat sales were up 40% last year. So something really remarkable has been happening in Connecticut as people are discovering and rediscovering the incredible outdoor recreation opportunities that we have in our state, and taking part of it in a very safe way throughout this pandemic. So last year was a dynamic challenge, but we delivered an invaluable service to the people of Connecticut, and we've learned a lot along the way that's informed our 2021 operational plan for the Connecticut state parks and boat launches. Folks might think of this as like a reopen announcement. In fact, we've been open the whole time. And what we would think about this summer looking like is more of an expansion of what's going to be open and what's going to be accessible for the public. So just to give you some of the highlights of what we can expect on this coming park season, Connecticut is prepared for a park season that will restore many services that were curtailed last year, with safety measures that are in place to promote social distancing and prevent the spread of COVID-19. With the hard-won experience from last year and continuing input from the Department of Public Health, we're delighted to announce the resumed or expanded service as follows. All of our state parks and forests, campgrounds, our rustic cabins, our youth group camping, our river camping, our backpack camping sites will be open beginning on April 10th on a reservation-only basis. The campground reservation system is open now for new campground and cabin reservations. This represents an expansion of camping access for the public. Last year, our camping season opened in July, somewhat of a delay there with limited inventory. We weren't able to provide cabin access last year, so we're really excited about providing expanded camping. We also anticipate opening many of our indoor spaces, our state park museums, our nature centers, our visitor centers, our interpretive centers will all be opening, we anticipate, on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, May 29th. Many of these indoor spaces were closed in 2020 as we were cautious about the possibility of a spread of COVID-19 in indoor locations. So we're really thrilled to welcome the public back to these special places. And we're going to encourage people to continue to check our website for updates to this plan. Some facilities may have capacity reductions in place to ensure adequate social distancing can be maintained, but we're excited about welcoming the public back to these locations. They really help folks have a richer experience, learn a lot, be educated about the unique natural resources they're experiencing in our parks. We will also no longer be implementing lower capacity limits in our parks in 2021. Last year, we managed lower daily capacity limits at some of our most highly visited parks as an effort to promote social distancing. I will underscore that even with those lower capacity limits last year, we still accommodated more visitors than ever before. But this year, as we track some of the positive indicators that we're seeing over the long term in terms of vaccination rates and community spread, we expect to be able to relax some of these limits so that carrying capacity will once again be determined by available parking. In 2020, we had prohibited picnicking, and some picnic tables were removed in order to, as we were cautious about limits on group sizes and large gatherings, and we're learning more about the possibility of spread of COVID-19 on surfaces. This year, picnicking will be fully allowed with all picnic tables reinstalled, and the use of those picnic tables will be dictated by outdoor gathering size and social distancing practices as they are updated. So we're really excited about that too. Our shoreline and inland beaches will be open for swimming with lifeguarding. In 2020, we had some limited access to inland swimming. Some of our inland beaches did not open until July, again, as we were feeling our way through what would be the proper spacing and adequate levels of visitors in those beach locations. But this year we are anticipating that we'll be able to accommodate more visitors at our beaches. We'll be able to relax some of those capacity limits that we put in place at our really popular shoreline parks, and so that we can welcome more visitors to enjoy a day in the sun, a day along the Sound, as well as in some of our beautiful lakes and rivers here inland in Connecticut. And then our boat launches will continue to be open as usual. Boating was the surprise winner last year. We saw really a huge explosion of folks enjoying getting out on the water, which is wonderful. We are going to continue to be open with public carrying capacity defined by parking, encouraging folks to maintain social distancing and wear a mask and follow educational signage that will be posted for users. Boardwalks that were closed will reopen with social distancing measures in place. Our concessions and our restrooms and bathhouses will all be open, again with social distancing practices and all the disinfection approaches that we finessed last year. Our concessions were open where feasible last year, some were closed. We had some later reopening of our bathhouses and restrooms. This year, we're prepared to welcome the public and provide for full access to those important amenities. And then most importantly, we'll continue to encourage visitors to wear masks, to wash their hands, to stay home if they're sick. You know, we were able to accommodate so many visitors last year in these unusual circumstances because the public worked with us, because our visitors did such a fantastic job of wearing masks and maintaining 6 feet of distance and obeying those guidelines around group gatherings and so on. And so we're really excited that, again, with the strong support and partnership from our visitors, that following those common sense guidelines, that we'll be able to provide for these expanded services this year. As with everything that has to do with COVID-19, of course, these guidelines are all subject to change as we monitor real-time conditions and consult with the Department of Public Health as we go. But this is a time here, it's just the weather's gorgeous and everybody's excited to get outside after a long winter. I think our experience from 2020 tells us that getting outdoors is one of the safest ways you can enjoy time with your family, during these challenging times. And this announcement today gives folks an ability to plan and think about what your spring, what your summer can look like. So you can start making your reservations for that campground and get ready to enjoy a day at the beach. So we'll continue to provide updates on our website as we go and stay in close consultation with Department of Public Health. But we wanted to let folks know this great news about what you can expect in terms of outdoor recreation this summer. So, one of the bright spots of the pandemic was hearing from so many people who have really rediscovered the incredible recreation and tourism experiences that we have here in the state. And we saw such high levels of visitors coming to enjoy our parks and state forests. It's no secret that we have some of the most incredible outdoor resources in the region. Where else can you enjoy the variety of hiking in the mountains, biking on canal paths and forested trails, boating on peaceful lakes and scenic rivers, bird watching at shoreline beaches, all within a short drive? There's a park within 15 minutes drive of every man, woman, and child in this state. And that's the affordable, accessible outdoor recreation resources we have in Connecticut is one of our, incredible advantages. And so we are excited about the possibility to keep those visitors who rediscovered our parks last year coming out to enjoy these incredible resources and taking part in our tourism economy here in the state of Connecticut. And so I want to introduce a wonderful partner to us at DEEP. Christine Castonguay is the interim director of the Connecticut Tourism Division and heads up CT Visit and has been a terrific partner in helping connect people to the wonderful resources we have here in the state of Connecticut. Christine?
Good morning, and thank you so much, Commissioner Dykes, for having us here today. We're so happy to be out on such a beautiful day with all of our partner agencies as well as the governor, and really here to promote what a great state we have at our fingertips. In terms of the activity that we're able to enjoy, that we've been hearing about, the hiking, the biking, the fishing, the swimming, it's all brought to us through our natural resources here in Connecticut, which feeds into the tourism economy. With all that Connecticut has to offer, the Connecticut industry offers $15.5 billion and generates $2.2 billion in revenues. That supports over 123,000 jobs here in the state. So like DEEP, we are so excited about the upcoming season, the warmer weather, and all of our data is pointing to this pent-up demand where everyone is anxious to get out and enjoy, but doing it safely. As you know, there's so much to see and do in Connecticut, and the key is it's all so close to you. It's a proximity message that is unique to Connecticut. Not only is it close to where you live, but all of the things you can see and do are close to each other. The way we really try to promote this is through ctvisit.com. ctvisit.com is a website for residents and our out-of-state visitors that are able to not only see all the listings for our state parks and natural resources, but also there is a feature on there called While You're in the Neighborhood. And what that enables you to do is to find the nearby restaurants and the nearby accommodations and attractions and retail outlets that you can enjoy in and throughout the state. Visitors can take comfort that our industry is ready and will continue to keep you safe as we enjoy this fantastic season. The numbers are already beginning to pick up, and we look forward to seeing everyone out this summer. Thank you so much. And I will turn it back over to Commissioner Dykes.
Well, thank you so much, Christine. Another exciting thing we've seen last year and continuing to grow is that visitors who are coming to enjoy our state parks and forests are also taking advantage of the special agritourism opportunities that we have here in the state of Connecticut. And I know that working together with Commissioner Brian Herbert, we're excited about some new partnerships between DEEP and the Department of Agriculture to promote Connecticut grown to visitors to our state parks this coming summer. So I want to welcome Commissioner Herbert up to the podium. You can ask about his brand new branding. Commissioner Herbert?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Dykes, and thank you to DECD and our partners here today. Obviously, Governor Lamont, for all the attention and the inclusion and recognition that agriculture is an important part of tourism and what the state has to offer. So as the days get warmer and people start thinking about getting outside and coming to parks like this, also think about what agritourism events you could be doing. And if you visit ctgrown.org, you can find a local farm stand or farmer's market to check out. You can find a local place to buy some cheeses that were made here in the state. Or, not too far from here, some chocolates that are made in the state from the cows that are about 100 yards away from the factory. There's all sorts of things that you can do to add to your experience, to make it a richer experience while also supporting our local economy, our local farmers, and the value and the resources that we have in the state here. If you're headed to the Shoreline, I want to make a plug for our oyster and our clam operations. Go down, buy a bag of clams, oysters for the campsite or to take home with you. If you decide that you don't want to go and leave the house, that's fine too. Visit one of our local nurseries or greenhouses and buy some bedding plants and spend some time in your backyard to revitalize and refreshen your backyard. That's another great way to celebrate what we have here in the state of Connecticut. There's so much to do. There's so many opportunities. It's great to be out here on a Friday to make sure that we can highlight all of those in the local businesses that make it all happen across the state. Thank you very much. And Commissioner Dykes, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Herbert. From our farms to our forests, it's really clear that we have incredible opportunities for the people of Connecticut to get out and safely enjoy some time in nature. You heard Christine talk about the incredible stats in terms of how much our outdoor recreation economy is contributing to the state's economic thriving. A little known fact is that Connecticut has the second largest outdoor recreation industry in New England, ranking ahead of Maine, ahead of New Hampshire, ahead of Vermont. We're really proud about that. And despite our smaller geographical size, our outdoor recreation sector is also larger than the sectors in recreation destination states with much larger land areas like Idaho, Montana, New Mexico, Wyoming, and Alaska. So it's an incredible statistic, and it speaks to how valuable these resources are. And we couldn't support these resources and get this great economic benefit from outdoor recreation without strong partnerships with the Connecticut Outdoor Recreation Association. I want to welcome to the podium Christine D'Andrea, president of the association, or CORA, to speak a little bit about all of our partners and what they're doing in the outdoor recreation industry.
Lots of Christines interested in Connecticut today. I'm Christine D'Andrea. I'm president of the Connecticut Outdoor Recreation Alliance, otherwise known as CORA. We are a coalition of businesses, corporations, nonprofits, and individuals dedicated to the protection and the promotion of our outdoor recreation resources. Yes, I know that was a mouthful. I'm so happy to be here meeting with all of you today to talk about my favorite topic, the great outdoors, and more specifically, the great outdoors of Connecticut. If there's one thing we can all agree on about 2020 is it got weird. Seemingly out of nowhere, we all became confined to our homes, restaurants closed, social gatherings stopped, and the clockwork routines we've all been so accustomed to suddenly didn't exist. This halt took a major toll on the mental and physical health of many. With so many places deemed unsafe, our vast open spaces became our unsung heroes. During this time, we saw an enormous boom in outdoor recreation activity. According to the Connecticut Trail Census, trail usage in 2020 shot up 38.3% from 2019. So people were out discovering that adventure is possible right outside their back doors. With so many state parks, forests, campgrounds across the state, this close-to-home adventure became not only approachable, but accessible. The Outdoor Foundation's 2019 Outdoor Participation Report cites that the majority of people doing outdoor recreation only travel about 10 miles from their home for outdoor activities. This is why Connecticut's got it. Walk out your front door and within a short drive, you could be skiing at Sundown Mountain, canoeing with Collinsville Canoe and Kayak, or rock climbing with the very brave. It's these businesses and Cora partners that enable our visitors and residents to take full advantage of Connecticut's natural beauty sustainably and safely. The outdoor industry itself is a powerhouse that has an economic multiplier effect that creates quality of life and attracts new businesses and people to communities. And Connecticut is no exception. Cora is lucky to have some of the largest outdoor brands on our board. REI, Cannondale, Loa Boots, Outside TV, all call Connecticut home. And our state generates a very big impact. In 2019 alone, outdoor recreation in Connecticut contributed to $3.7 billion to our GDP, $2 billion in private sector wages and salaries, and supported over 49,000 jobs, as reported by the U.S. Department of Commerce. As a state, we've got what it takes, and we're so excited to be in this new phase of reopening Connecticut. We are in a position to only grow and thrive and are ready with open but distanced arms to welcome everyone to our amazing state. Thank you.
Terrific. Well, as you heard from Christine, these assets that we have in Connecticut are something that people value. And as you know, it's the other remarkable trend of the last year is seeing more people moving into Connecticut, leaving urban centers like New York and Boston and coming to Connecticut because they value the access to the outdoors and the incredible quality of life that we have here in the state. And we know in talking with some of our major employers in the state how important that quality of life and that outdoor recreational access is for growing our economy here across the state. And so here to speak about that is President of the Metro Hartford Alliance, David Griggs.
Good morning and thank you. So you probably are wondering why with all the outdoor stuff would the Metro Hartford Alliance be here this morning? Well, let me tell you, Katie's absolutely right. Our outdoor activities are a big piece of the quality of life that we use to bring in new residents to our community. But not only that, there's a connection between the innovation that happens within an economy and access to outdoor recreational activities. And as I'm sure you all know, Connecticut ranks number 4 in the nation in innovation and number 1 in the nation in patents per capita. So the innovation that happens within our companies is due in part to the access to all the wonderful assets that we have here in the state of Connecticut. So on behalf of the Metro Hartford Alliance and our investors and companies, we appreciate, Commissioner Dykes, what you're doing to give our innovators, our entrepreneurs, the opportunity to come out and let their minds wander for a moment and come up with that next new great idea that will propel our economy forward. And thank you to Governor Lamont for all you're doing on behalf of our companies here in the Hartford region. Thank you.
So you can see from our speakers that our parks are providing safe recreation experiences during the pandemic. They're complementing agritourism and other tourism opportunities. They're fueling a thriving outdoor recreation economy, and they're giving Connecticut a competitive edge in the post-pandemic economy. None of this is possible without a strong commitment to protecting, investing in, and expanding public lands and recreation access. And so I want to recognize and thank Ralph Scarpino. He's the president of the Friends of American Legion and People's State Forest, one of the a friends group, like many friends group across the state, that is made up of neighbors and volunteers who come together and offer educational opportunities, organize hikes and events, and provide crucial volunteer time to support trail maintenance and other vital activities for our Connecticut state parks. Thank you so much for what you do. I also want to recognize Eric Hammerling, who's with us today. He's the president of the Connecticut Forests and Parks Association. He provides tireless support for deepen our outdoor recreation assets all across the state. The services and amenities we're able to provide at our state parks and forests are the direct result of the Passport to Parks program, which funds the state's outdoor recreation resources through a modest vehicle registration fee. More importantly, the Passport to Parks has enabled DEEP to eliminate parking fees for all Connecticut residents and provide for better amenities and services at our park locations. Eric was really instrumental in helping to get Passport enacted and continue to protect those funds. And last, but definitely not least, I want to thank especially Governor Lamont, who's been a champion for DEEP and our outdoor recreation program. His budgets have protected Passport to Parks from damaging sweeps. He's been a champion for open space acquisition through our OSWA grant program. And today we're excited to announce that Governor Lamont will be recommending approval of $2 million in bond funding at the upcoming bond meeting for investment in state parks. These dollars go to work to help us fund things like grading and filling of gravel roads, building repairs at our pavilions and cabins, heating and ventilation system repairs, plumbing, toilet improvements, improving our picnic tables, our fire rings. All of these sound like very humble investments, but across a state park system that covers 8% of the land area of the state of Connecticut, I can tell you these dollars make a huge difference in providing for a safe, ADA accessible, and wonderful quality of experience at our state parks. So Governor Lamont, thank you so much for your support, and I'll turn the podium over to you.
All right, thank you, Katie. And as Christine II said, last year was pretty weird. And if you're going to tough it out anywhere, I'm glad I was toughing it out in Connecticut, and I think a lot of other people were as well. Don Stein said he gets to live here. It's beautiful, but at least we all get a chance to visit. And what this means, this is 5,000 acres right there with the Farmington River. And last year, when we were kind of stuck close to home and there wasn't a lot we could often do, especially if you're older and you're at risk, you know, Katie and I made an extra point of keeping our parks and our beaches open. It was best therapy you could ask for. And people recognize that. I mean, did you just hear? Last year was our biggest year ever in terms of people visiting our parks and beaches. I mean, who would have thunk it? Our biggest year ever. People appreciated that. People rediscovered Connecticut. People rediscover what makes this state so special, what makes this state so beautiful. And yep, we got the you know, free parking for Connecticut residents there, but we're trying to do more than that. We're trying to make sure that we're going to provide free bus service starting this summer on weekends, David, so that not just us driving out here, but maybe there'll be bus service for folks in Hartford who are able to get around and enjoy some of our parks and beaches and some of our amazing farms. You might as well see, this is the heritage of Connecticut. We were a farming community back before we were manufacturing. And we're still an amazing farm community. And I'd go out and buy some Connecticut grown if I were you. You know where it's coming from, and you know that it's pretty good. And the other thing we really want to do this summer is our schools were more likely to be open starting in September than just about any school system around the country, but a lot of our kids still didn't get back to school. A lot of our kids didn't get back into the classroom. A lot of our kids didn't get to see their friends. We had the 211 hotline. It was burning up with kids who, we call it quarantine, but for them it was isolation. So we're making an extra effort this summer to make sure that our kids have access to free and affordable summer camp. We have access to all of our parks and museums and aquariums, and make sure that each and every one of them, wherever they can come, have access to a beautiful parks like what we are right here. Don't take it for granted. We work hard. Katie works hard. Her team works hard to do this. And we're going to be marketing the state of Connecticut to others in the greater region as well, to make sure they appreciate what they see here in Connecticut. A lot of them come to visit. A lot of them come to stay. And we're going to be getting through this pandemic. Today, the numbers were, relatively good again, 3.4%. That's sort of where we've been for the last few weeks. And as Katie said, we're a lot more open than we were a year ago, but you still got to be careful. You still got to be careful with the masks a little bit longer. But this is going to be the beginning of a great spring and a great summer. And what a great place to start right here in Barcampstead. Thanks, everybody.
We have time for a few questions if there are any.
So
how are these capacity limits going to work? You said it was tied to parking, so does that mean that when the parking lots are full, then it's closed, or is it going to be 75% capacity at some places, 100% at others, 10% at another place?
So really, we're going back to the way we were before the pandemic, where when we close parks when our parking lots get full and when we can't accommodate more cars. So that's what we're looking forward to, this coming summer. Obviously, we're going to be able to, follow closely the guidelines, the upcoming conditions that DPH is monitoring. We can make adjustments if we need to. We've got a very nimble team. They did this expertly last summer, but we're really looking forward to, again, with the trends going in terms of infection rates, vaccination stepping up, we think we're going to be able to resume the old way, which is we were only closing when the parking lots got full.
Do you have a set of metrics in mind that would lead to a stepping up of restrictions, a return to sort of rollback of the relaxed rules that you're announcing?
Sure. So we're working closely through the Reopen Committee, working with DECD, with DPH. We're following really the trend and the guidance that's applying to private businesses as well as we make these decisions. But again, working in real time, following those conditions. But all those things everything that we're seeing is suggesting that come this summer, especially when we do see crowds coming out to some of our most popular parks along the shoreline and so on, that we'll be in a good place to resume the normal operations and the normal capacity levels.
Commissioner, what was the total on visitors last year? It was record.
10 million.
What was the previous record then?
That's a great question.
10% lower, about a 10%
10
increase every year.
10% up.
I would like to introduce our Deputy Commissioner for Environmental Conservation, Mason Trumbull.
Hey folks, so we track our visitorship at some of our larger parks where we have some electronic counters and things of that nature, where we are able to make some pretty good estimations on levels of visitorship. And so we saw about a 10% increase from last year. What that number doesn't include is all the other smaller state parks and forests like this one, where we don't have those type of counters, where anecdotally we're seeing much larger increases than 10%. But those beachline parks that we kind of use as a metric saw about a 10%, and that's even with the capacity closures that we or the capacity reductions that we had in place.
And Commissioner, I know some people in the State Mycological Society who show up like 100 at a time in a park for like a day-long hunt, and they pull out tables and they talk about what they have. Is that going to be going forward, or is that too granular to find out at this point?
Yep. So I'll start and then welcome our team to speak to some of those. We host a lot of different events, whether it's fishing derbies or weddings or other types of gatherings and events. We'll be following all the guidance in terms of gathering sizes for large group gatherings that are outdoors, that are established for businesses across the state.
So that would be 500 or 10,000?
200 right now.
Okay.
But again, the park season stretches all the way through the fall, so we're going to be updating and continuing to track that guidance as it applies to private businesses.
And there's going to be swimming at all inland parks?
Correct. That's right.
So, Commissioner, is there a lot of it depends in this, that you really are requiring the public to be part of the process then, right?
Well, sure. The public is part of the process, especially in following the guidance, the basic guidance coming from the CDC about mask wearing, and we encourage everyone to get your vaccine. That helps all of us enjoy the outdoors with fewer restrictions. But I think the most important thing for people to think about today is, as you're planning your summer, unlike last year, we can tell you with certainty that campgrounds are going to be open and that you can make your reservation now. We can tell you with certainty that inland swimming is going to be open. So we can give folks that predictability that we weren't able to provide last year as we were working our way through this through these unusual circumstances. But then as we get closer to the summer, and the weather warms, we hit Memorial Day, beach season really takes off. That's when it'll be a great time for us to check in. We're going to be in touch with DPH as we go, and we'll be able to communicate to the public, in real time if there are any changes to some of those some of these guidelines around, capacity limits and so on and so forth. But based on the trends and where we expect to be, again, by June, July, that's where we feel pretty confident, talking with DPH, that we'll be able to resume normal capacity limits. But we're encouraging the public, get your vaccine, wear your mask. It's just, we've been doing this great the last year. If we keep it up, we can continue to enjoy expanded access to the outdoors.
One for the governor. You mentioned yesterday in your speech addressed a slight increase of COVID-19 numbers. I think you mentioned in the Northeast. Do you have any concerns with reopening state parks and beaches?
A little tick up in the Naugatuck Valley, that's true. I think that's what you were referring to yesterday. A little less likely to get vaccinated, perhaps there. Really important. We're bringing in extra vaccinations just to make sure that everybody has access and gets it done. And no, just the opposite. Back when, a year ago, when you had an infection rate that was, 10 times where we are today, when you had hospitalizations that were 20 times where we are today, we kept our beaches and parks open. We showed that we can do it safely. I know what it meant to kids. I know what it meant to, folks my age, being able to take that hike, being able to go outside. Absolutely, we're going to keep this going. I think it's the safest place to be, and I think it makes a big difference in people's lives.
Kind of an off topic, what is the latest on the juvenile training school, and have you looked at other alternatives like Southbury Training School, other sites for the migrant children, or are they definitely going to Middletown?
I think we focused right now on the juvenile training facility. We're taking a look at it. It's cleaned up, it's ready to go, it's got the classrooms, it's got the cafeterias, it's got the soccer fields, and it's got the basketball. So I think we can represent to the federal government that if they want Connecticut to take some of these immigrant kids, this is probably as safe and a wholesome as a place as we can come up with. That said, we're still meeting with the delegation and meeting with some of the advocates, and haven't made a recommendation to Washington as yet, but about to.
Have you gotten pushback on it, or would the prison doors be open to the children, or in other words, if they're coming in there, is it going to feel like a prison, or what are you going to do to make it not feel like a prison?
Well, first of all, come visit. I visited there last week. I had no idea what to expect. I had heard the noise. And like I said, cafeterias, classrooms, big outdoor rec, indoor rec areas. And I think the federal government would come in and make sure that when it came to, where people actually sleep, they can do that in a way that the kids feel safe and feel like they're at home. It's secure, but it's also welcoming. And Vanessa Durantes, who runs our Department of Children and Families, says it well. It's the people that take care of these kids, and we'd make sure that they are well taken care of.
And what is your time frame? Do you expect in 10 days from now, or what is your time frame on when you may have a final decision and the feds may say, hey, we're going to do this?
Well, feds are pushing, no question about it, and so I think we're going to give them a recommendation early next week once we've had a chance to talk to a few more people, and then the timing is up to them.
Well, it sure sounds like you're headed towards making that recommendation from everything we're hearing. Am I fault? Am I reading too much into what you're saying?
No, I don't think you are.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. And the feds will pay for this? In other words, is there not a lot of costs? I mean, you keep saying cafeterias are ready to go.
Here are the things I really care about. Okay. I care about, A, this is going to be done on a turnkey basis by the federal government. No out-of-pocket costs to the taxpayers of Connecticut. Give us a better idea of who these kids are, and make sure that they fund this and they do it in a safe way. Vanessa is going to make sure that we have the quality of care and wraparound services these kids will require. And we'd like them to work with some of the not-for-profits here in the state of Connecticut and pay them to provide some of these services so they know the kids are well taken care of.
Governor, do you have a general...
And by the way, the timing is sort of important. I'm sorry, Ken. I mean, right now they're saying, 90 days. I want to make sure we have a better idea of what the duration is on this thing.
Do you have a general idea of what parks and beaches are going to be included in the free bus service this summer?
Well, Katie's working on that with DOT. You want to say that?
Yeah.
We know that, I know the governor announced, I believe it was last week, about providing that free transit bus service. We are also working with the Department of Transportation on opportunities to expand transit service to directly connect folks to our parks. So we're looking forward to having some announcements on that in coming weeks.
Governor, yesterday in the weekly report on the variants, we saw an additional 200 cases of the B117 variant. That's like a 40% increase in the last reporting period. Is that concerning to you? I know at last week we were talking that that variant was estimated to account for about 40% of cases, new cases. Has that changed at all?
Well, everything is concerning to me. That B117 variant, they used to call it the UK variant, now we don't like to tie it to geography, is highly infectious. And you see that sort of down in the New York, New Jersey area, and it is, in parts of Connecticut, no question about it. The good news is that the vaccines work against the B117. And the good news is we have a majority of our people, adults, vaccinated today. We ought to have 60% of those people vaccinated over the course of the next 10 days to come. So it's a race against the variant, and Connecticut's winning that race.
Governor, we're reporting that the University of Hartford is considering downgrading its athletic program to Division III, and this is weeks after they made the tournament. You tweeted them a congratulations. What do you think about this potential move?
I didn't know that. You just made it to the NCAA. You made it to March Madness. Let's go. I think that was a shot in the arm for the kids, a shot in the arm for University of Hartford. I was so proud to see them there for the first time in 35 years. So let me get back to you on that.
Governor, Judiciary passed your cannabis bill the other day with some opposition from some important senators. Can you share with us your public strategy to get this bill across the finish line by June 9th?
Yeah, the question is about legalized adult use marijuana. It came out of the judiciary bill. Our bill came through, but there's certainly a lot of comments on, in particular, how the revenues would be spent to make sure they go to those distressed communities, perhaps those communities that have been hardest hit by the war on drugs. I think there's broad accommodation or understanding between all the different parties. Now we're going to go through 2 or 3 iterations. I think we're going to get there. I mean, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, they're all doing this right now, and I don't want to surrender the market to A, the illicit underground market, or B, to out-of-state competitors.
Have the feds told you that we might need Middletown for 3 months, 6 months, or could this be a long-term thing? What have they told you?
They've said 3 months, comma, hopefully it'll be 3 months.
And approximately how many kids can fit in there with the reconfiguration that you're talking about?
I think it was designed for a few hundred kids.
Judiciary today has a couple of bills regarding liability and civil lawsuits regarding COVID. Do you have an opinion on what kind of protections people need, or are you satisfied with the current legal structure on liability lawsuits, Governor?
I think right now we have a pretty good balance there, is my instinct. For folks who pick up COVID and you want to sue the employer or workman's comp, I mean, I think a lot of that may be figured out by vaccinations. I mean, if I want to get vaccinated and I pick up an infection somewhere, who's responsible? I'd like to think that we're going to make vaccinations widely available to everybody that wants it, and they're accountable. I'd like to think that our restaurants and our bars and our stores have done this very carefully, held accountable. We have very strict protocols. They knew what the rules of the road are when it comes to opening up your store safely. And I think that's the key requirement we need to keep people safe. Thanks, everybody.